TOA Fit Body Bootcamp, Fit Body Forever Communities. What's up, everybody? Robert Linkul, welcome back. I hope you're all doing great. Just got back from NSCA National Conference 2024. Wrapped up my 3-year term on the board. Had a fantastic time seeing all of our NSCA family and friends. Had some really great sessions. Learned some really great things. And just real quick review, like one of the presentations was on ACL injuries. 10 minutes of watching videos of female athletes blowing out their ACLs on camera. Gnarly, man. Oh, it was terrible, number one. Number two, seeing the research being done and some of the things being created right now. I'm not a huge fan of AI, but virtual reality actually has some fantastic tools they're using to help people learn proprioceptive cueing to when they jump, when they land, to taking care of their knees, etc. How many non-contact knee injuries are occurring out there? Women are so susceptible, especially ladies, to ACL injuries. In sport, it's, 10 to 1 or whatever it is, females to males. That was a fantastic talk. Another one on hip impingement, fantastic talk. Just some great experiences there. And while I was there, the theme, like every year there's a couple of things that really stick out to me. And every year at the national conference, there's a couple of things, and I come home and I'm like, oh, the theme from this year, and this isn't like done at the conference level. It's not like the conference goes, oh, here's going to be our theme. It's for me. It's what I kind of interpret when I come back and I go, here was kind of the theme for me this year. The theme for this year was learning about injury and specifically how to resistance train to prevent injury, which I found very, very helpful. I'll be honest, when I first saw the presenter lineup, I was not thrilled. As a personal trainer, there wasn't a whole lot on there that gripped me and thought, wow, this is going to be a great experience. I'm going to go learn a whole lot. I was pleasantly surprised and had some really great takes from that. From the injury perspective, now 2.5 minutes into this, I'll finally get to the point. Grip strength and utilizing grip strength not only as an assessing tool, but then as a training component also stood out. And this is one thing that we've embraced heavily, TOA, and that we're pushing into all my efforts with FitBody, who's accepting with open arms. I mean, they love the assessments, and we're rolling in kind of a new assessment for FitBody Forever, end of 2024, start of 2025. It's just a couple of things that we're doing a little different, but we're utilizing the dynamometer, grip strength test, to see how people squeeze. And then based on that, you can make some fairly good assumptions. I know assumptions are, there's that saying, what do you make, an ass out of you and me assumption to assume. But I think there's some really good, very, very key indicators that you can take away from this. So we find research studies like this one, which, is very, very new. I'm not even going to attempt the last names. So you can see them there, who wrote this, the collection of the group at all. And then this is 2024, let's see, January, I think. My screen is so small down there, I can't see the exact date. Anyway, 2024, somewhere in there. Okay. We're going to get to the main point here in just a moment, but if you look at just the last two lines here, let's say from the cutoff values are different in various populations. It is lower in Asian women, less educated and privileged, and those involved in sedentary. Okay, here we go. Several diseases have shown a correlation with low hand grip strength, HGS, etc. Type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, stroke, chronic kidney and liver disease, some cancers, sarcopenia, and fragility fractures, okay? The lower your hand strength grip is also associated with an increase in hospitalization, nutritional status, overall mortality, and quality of life. We believe that there is adequate evidence to show that hand grip strength stands as an important biomarker of health. It is utility extends, to the identification of diverse health issues and its potential as a new vital sign throughout the lifespan. So basically suggesting, as we've kind of discussed this in the past, I probably have 3 or 4 other videos discussing grip strength and how you can kind of correlate it. This one goes even deeper, and they go pretty deep. I know some of these pictures are a little fuzzy. It's the best I could do. Sorry, gang. As we went through, this looks at all those pieces we just talked about, and they have breakdowns, right, of each disease and how these kind of correlated over. Number 1 was hypertension. Number 2 was high non-HDL cholesterol, and so on, all the way down the list. And then you see on mortality rate on the other side, those with lower lower grip strengths had lower educations, used tobacco, etc., all the way down on the poor quality of life measure. Number 3, low hand grip strength, right there. Your poor diet, your hypertension, all the way down to low physical activity, depression, etc. So all of these things, all of them, we are able to kind of correlate if you're exercising on a regular basis, making some efforts to improve your quality of health. All of those scores that we just saw, all of those should improve, right? Exercise is that linchpin to a better, improved quality of life, a healthier body, a stronger mind, etc., all the way across the board. So when we showcase stuff like, oh, let's look at increasing our grip strength, it's not necessarily if I get stronger at going like this, I am going to get better scores on all of this other stuff. Because I could literally sit here every night while I'm eating pizza and drinking Slurpees and watching television and just grip strength myself to death with all these little tools I'm going to show you. And my grip strength scores would go through the roof. They would. If I train it, it'll get better. But is that helping me sleep better, move better, increase bone density, improve muscle mass? I mean, maybe in my forearms, down to my hand, and that's it. But that's all. So you might have an individual that you know in life that is very unhealthy, but they work as a plumber or a construction worker, or they work in a garage, right? And they're just wrenching and torquing and turning on stuff all day long. So they have amazing grip strength, but they're 100 pounds over fat. They have super high cholesterol. Their mortality rate, quality of life, all their scores through the roof. Everything poor. But amazing grip strength. So that's not what we're talking about. We're not going to suggest everybody needs to go out and improve their grip strength so they can score better on. It's the other way around. The grip strength is the assessing tool to give us the snapshot, if you will, of the overall person in front of us. You're utilizing one score or one of a couple of assessments that are done cheaply, quickly, efficiently, and individually or in small groups or even large groups at a pretty quick and efficient format. You get 4 dynamometers with 16 people, let everybody grab and squeeze, and you're done in 2 minutes. Everybody scores, okay? Super simple. So if we're going to utilize that as number 1, this is our biggest issue: sarcopenia, osteopenia, obesity. Osteosarcobesity, that's our big 3. Sarcopenia, frailty, overall bone density, but hips specifically, those have huge correlations. So we want to see if somebody grabs a dynamometer, squeezes, poor score. We can assume, again, we're assuming, but based on all these statistics, this is a pretty damn good assumption that they have sarcopenia, they have osteopenia, and or poor quality of life, poor living expectation, meaning they're probably not going to live very long. Now, can that be changed? Absolutely. And that's where all this stuff kind of comes in here, all these disabilities and poor health and function, et cetera, okay? And then this is just, again, another quick snapshot of same article. We talk type 2 diabetes, disease, stroke, kidney failure, et cetera. That's the same thing all the way down. Now, they had breakdowns from Asian to European to African to American to Canadian to across. They had all kinds of different data collected. I think it's 22 different countries. This is in correlation with like 5 or 6 other studies that are all referenced in there. A lot of really good stuff, okay? A lot of great stuff to look in there. All right. So now with that in mind, let's go back up here. Keeping that in mind, you also have individuals that have arthritis, that have neuropathy, that have osteoarthritis and that have inflammation in their hands and their grip, to where as they're aging, or even younger, and we're all aging, but even if you're in your 20s and 30s and you've just been sedentary, your ability to be dexterously engaged and strong, coordinated, etc., with your hands and your grip are starting to fade. So now we see this as a particular area that we do need to specifically train. And so let's look at tools that we would use for that. Most of us would look at something like this, okay? Just a regular old school gripper. This is from Iron Mind, and I love Iron Mind. We're gonna plug them here in just a few minutes because quite a few of their tools are excellent. They are really well made. I've had these for years and they still look brand spanking new, and we use them like crazy, okay? But I wanna kind of showcase like why this is probably not one of the most effective tools if you have these limitations and injuries we were just talking about. If you have perfectly healthy hands, your hands are just good to go, this is a fine tool to use. You get a hold of it, place it in, deep into the palm, give it a squeeze. Your goal is to what they call close it, right? Which means you can hear it click, right? I can close it all the way closed and return, and then you would go to the next level and the next level and the next level. And they have these all the way up to, whatever the highest level is, and only like 3 people have ever closed it or something like that. And then they have really small ones, it's even smaller. So now you can't get as many fingers on there. You can do different drills where you just use your ring and index finger, right? And you try to close it from that end. Or I'm just gonna use my last 2 and I try to close it from that end. Just the first 2, I get it on that one, right? You can do different drills from there. And that's what we would say is with a tool like this, when I said like maybe not the most efficient if you have limitations, is because if you have any kind of, the term we use is bilateral dominance, meaning, even though this is individually done here, right? Unilaterally, independently, phalangeal independent, I don't know what you call a finger at a time. If I have a really strong ring finger, but my pinky and my middle finger are experiencing weakness or decreased function, how does that one, basically my ring finger, my bilaterally dominant appendage here, is going to do more of the work when I go to squeeze this. So how do I get each one independently to train? This has been kind of a common pursuit or goal, and just so happened at this event, I came across this company called Pro Hands, and Pro Hands makes these very cool grips that are independent finger, okay? So you take the little bulb here at the end, that goes into your palm, so it supports the little pad, the fat pad in your hand. And then as you close, you can work each finger independently. And I thought when I first saw him, I'm like, I went by the guy and I'm like, I wanna come and talk to you. I got a meeting, I gotta run off, and he remembered me. And every time I went by, he's like, you got time? And I'm like, I don't yet. Being on the board and being on a couple different committees, like we have a billion meetings we got to go to, plus sessions that I wanted to go and see. And I'm like, finally got these guys like Friday afternoon, right before the expo closed. Finally get there. Cool, let's talk a little bit. So we start going through this, and I start seeing the value in having each finger independently challenged, right? To the point where you still have the click that shows that you have it closed, right? And you have a progression in levels that you can go up and up and up and up. So now I think of Joyce, I think of Linda, I think of Ruth, I think of my clients who over the years have experienced or have some either arthritis or injury or whatnot to their hands. Instead of just gripping one thing, squeezing it and going, I'm working on my grip strength, we can now kind of independently train each finger. If I want just pinky strength to start to improve, I can work on that. Pinky and index, right? And I can start to work independent, and I can just start to work my way up and down the spring loads. Even if I'm not closing them entirely, it's just an independent way to do this. And again, we're doing our morning bridges. We're doing, our 3 steps back and forth, whatever it is. They can have these in hand and be working on these as we go. So really nice company, and again, I'm showing you this handle when I have it all I have them all on here. Really great setup. They've got from therapy components. Again, I have no affiliation to these companies, right, that I'm about to show you. Again, this all intention. I have zero financial connection to any companies. This is strictly to show you I found a good product and I want everybody to know about it, right? So if you look at the one on the baby blue one on the bottom left, that's like their physical therapy line. And those go literally by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 pound, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 pound increments, right? So super, super, super light. We're talking folks that have had massive hand trauma and or arthritis or neuropathies and whatnot in the hands that are so hard to move that I need 1 pound of pressure. So we have that. And then those levels go up. They just get more and more dynamic. And then in there, they've got some good explanations for you so you can kind of see and read a little bit more about this as you go. But you can see all the different options from the VIA to the Pro, which I got the Pros. Of course, I had to get the biggest, heaviest ones. Just kidding. I did medium heavy and extra heavy. So I've got kind of those middle ones across the board. We've added now to our repertoire of grip strength training equipment in-house. And then they have these little downloads for you. I'm not giving you anything special. This is all on their website. You can pop on there and see the little different training pieces and such that they have. And I love it. Like it's a really good company. They were great guys. The two gentlemen that were there were very, very nice to me. Nice to Keegan, put in good time. We're talking to him about becoming a potential sponsor for our November event. By the way, if you don't have that marked down in your calendar, it is November 9th, I believe. Yeah, November 9th here in Rancho Cordova / Sacramento, California. Folsom area. It's going to be great. We've got an awesome lineup. We're bringing some people in from out of town. Pretty cool stuff. So more to come on that. All right, so there's your grippers, okay? Iron Mind has these regular guys. Pro Hands has these independent. And then Iron Mind also, one of the ones that I think this is most important when you're dealing with grip strength, is not only how much can I grip and crush, but also how much can I extend. So when you're watching someone crush something, you can see all the muscles in their forearms gripping, and you can see their hand closing and their wrist flexing. But as with anything, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I always like to use an analogy of a wall. If I'm building a wall and I've got buttresses that I'm putting up and ramps and sandbags and supports, everything's on one side, then you go to the support side and push on it, and you're like, well, I can use one finger and just push the whole thing, because there's nothing over there to support the other side of the wall. I only have stacked up weights and securities and buttresses and supports on one side. So I'm leaving myself vulnerable to the other side. I should brace and develop strengths on both. And so not only do we want to close our grip, we want to extend our grip. And that's where something as simple as the little rubber bands that you get on your broccoli, such that you buy at the grocery store, start with those. Get those on. But then Iron Mind makes this little kit of rubber bands. And then you can see, I'm just trying to show some movement in my forearms here so you can see the extensors working, okay, as we go through. So I would do, a set of 20-ish with these, the little white ones. And then I would go to the next level up, which are these green ones. And the goal is not to open your hands entirely to where it rolls up your hands. It's to get lots of reps. And even just doing this, I'm feeling the back of my hands starting to burn. I'm feeling the top of my forearm starting to burn. So I can work up to the greens. And then that goes up to yellow. And then it goes to the blues. And then it goes to these big red ones, these huge red ones, which I have not been able to collect what I would consider open, completely open. Oh, I'm close, but just not quite. Really challenging working on all the extensors in your hands. So if we can utilize whichever gripper, the Pro or the Iron Mind, whichever squeezer we like to squeeze, and then work on the extensors on the other side, we're covering 2 out of the 3 bases, in my opinion, that you need to train your grip strength really, really well. We're closing, we're extending. So what else is there now? There's circumduction and articulation, meaning not, right turn, left turn. There's all this other room in the middle. And this is where these guys came in. Now, I got to give a ton of credit where credit is due. My wife, Keegan, for as sweet and as innocent as she is a hard worker. She always has her eye and mind on the prize. And Keegan saw something right away that she heard me talk about a week prior to. I was trying to remember the name of this. I saw it on Instagram and I went, I want to get one of those. It's a bag and I think there's like rice in it or sand. And I'm like, I just can't. I was talking to one of my clients online about it. As soon as she saw it, she's like, that's the thing Rob was thinking about. So she goes over, starts talking to these guys. She sends me a message and she goes, hey, I found that sandbag thing for grip strength that you were talking about. They're downstairs, they're in this row. Go down and talk to them. They're waiting for you to come by. And I shit you not, I don't even know what she said. She's like, bald guy, beard, I don't know. The second I showed up, they're like, that's Rob. Like we knew each other. They just started talking right away and they gave us a product. They just gave it to me. They're like, here, take this. We want you to have it. We want you to use it. You know, if you like it, give us a good review, etc. and whatnot. Not only did they give me one, they gave Keegan one. So we have 2 of them here now in-house. Now, I thought it was a bag that had rice or whatever. And if you went like this, you would make this huge mess. No, it's all enclosed, okay? And if you can, I don't know if you can see in here, but like it's like kind of like a knitting, right, material, I guess I would say. Basically a glove that's sewn in there. And so you put your hand in, and my hand is in a mesh netted glove. Let me see if I can like take it out of here so you can see. Do you see how my fingers are like they're in a glove. See that? There we go. There, that's good idea. Okay. So you put your fingers in there, and then I'm gonna shove this almost like a sock. Okay, you kind of put your sock over your hand, but each finger is independent. And now in there, which is super, super cool, are those 2, see the yellow grip balls that are in there? So I'm holding on one of them now. I know you can't see it, but there's the edge of it. Can you see the curve there? Yep, so there's the big one. So you have a ball in there, and then there's a little tiny one. And so if you listen, hear the rice, right? So you got some, Uncle Ben rice in there or whatever it is. And then you can manipulate and you can grip and squeeze and rotate and wrench. And then you have the ball in there. You can grab the ball and do individual finger drills, kind of like we were showing there earlier. Let me use just one of these guys. This will kind of give you an idea. So you get the ball in your hand and I can do like just these 2 fingers and then these guys and then these guys. Or I can just say, I want to just use these 2. And as I'm gripping it, it's squishy. So they kind of collapse, right? They kind of collapse. And now we're doing multi-direction, multiple angle articulation of your grip. And you can we call it blading. We have a bucket of rice in here that I'll have clients slide their hand into and they rotate, they blade their hand back and forth. And if your hand is open, the rice kind of manipulates through your fingers quite a bit easier. But if your hand's closed, you've got a lot that you have to like mush and push and there's more pressure. So if you're rehabbing, I had a client that I trained, 15 years ago, that had a piece of rebar. He was a contracting guy building an office, and a piece of rebar went through his hand, and it just blew his hand apart. So they had to surgically rebuild his hand. And then when I got a hold of him, he was probably 4 or 6 weeks post-surgery and was really struggling to rebuild his grip strength. And so I got him, I'm like, hey, hold on to this. We used like a squishy, like a stress ball, probably the size of a racquetball, but it was squishy. And I said, hold on to that, shove your hand into this rice. And as you're articulating your hand around in the rice, squeeze the ball, pulse the ball. And so he would kind of pulse and rotate and squeeze that, but worked against that manipulation of the pressure of the sand. The deeper you put your hand in, the more sand, the more pressure, the harder it was. The higher you brought your hand up, the easier. And so we could do that. He could do blading. He could do all this stuff. We would do like little waves and then little extensors and dig your hand and open your hand up and just work all those little muscles with just small amounts of pressure. And it was good. He would get done. The rice, can attract critters. It can leave film on your hands. It gets messy and on the ground. So we would use it, but it was always kind of one of those things of like, we need to do this. I'll accept all these other, sidebar issues with it just because I know how valuable it is. And so now the development of this, we have no problem with mess, none whatsoever. It's all enclosed. And you can get all that same gripping, wrenching component that we need. And then I can grab the ball in there and I can work and manipulate the ball. I mean, I was sitting there, we were watching Young Sheldon last night. It's our new obsession. And so I'm just sitting there working away on this thing. And just trying to show you here, like in, I don't know, what's this been, 15 seconds? I'm getting a really good pump on the forearms. Like I am feeling that work. And all I'm doing is just gripping, twisting, rotating, gripping, twisting, rotating. And then I'll go the other direction so you can grip and twist and rotate both. Man, forearm work, the wrist, the hand. I mean, oh gosh, it's quite the pump. I absolutely love it. And I think these are not competing products, in my opinion. They are part of a group, okay, a piece that you could have together here. Just minutes before I started this, I went onto their website and you can become an affiliate, right? So I signed up, we just set up, again, no financial return here. I'm assuming we get, credits or something like that back, but the guy gave me 2 bags. I wanted to for sure give him a shout out. If you want 10% off, here's our little discount code. So you could use that if you'd like, and or just become an affiliate yourself if it's something you want to do. And then they've got all kinds of different, colors and I think resistances and how much sand is in there and so on. And they've got a good sale going right now. Here are the Iron Mind little rubber bands, and they've got all their different grippers. They've got this whole little kit. This is the kit that I typically kind of advise my clients to get. They've got a grip handle that you can use to manipulate and do rotations with. Man, I feel just an awesome pump in my forearm. They've got that little egg. It's a little squish egg that you can use. They've got all the extensors, and then they have their Captain and Crush, Iron Mind ones there. The little eggs are good. One of them's squishy. The other ones are like manipulable. They're like pliable, but you can't crush them necessarily. So those are good. Anyhow, I just wanted to kind of highlight a little bit of everything that we utilize for grip. And it's not as simple as just grab onto something and squeeze. And remember the purpose for training that. It's not necessarily to let me increase my grip strength so my score is better. It's the other way around. Client comes in, I want a quick snapshot of what I am dealing with. And if I can do a 30-second sit to stand and their grip strength, I can tell a lot about that person, a lot. Okay, go back and watch my other video on the timed up and go and the sit to stand assessment. You can do both of those together, basically. You have them sit down, stand up, walk out 3 meters, 9 feet, 9.10 feet, 10 feet basically, out and back and sit down. You time that. If it's less than 13 seconds, you're in the clear, you're not a huge fall risk. If it's less than 7 seconds, you're an absolute superstar. 6.5 seconds, something like that. You're an absolute superstar with no fall risk at all. Anywhere in between, little moderation and change, okay? Then sit down, stand up, do as many as you can in 30 seconds. If you are female, you need at least 12, men need at least 14. Okay, looking at my score sheet here. And then I have them grip, 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 basics. You're looking at 55 pounds of pressure, if not more. Men, and I think 35 pounds of pressure female, and that's for like 90-year-olds and down. So that's a bare minimum to be kind of okay. How long does that take us? Maybe 5 minutes. That's with me explaining and all that. It doesn't take long is my point. And if I do those 3 assessments, timed up and go, the tug, the 30 seconds to stand, and then grip strength with a dynamometer, we've got a really good idea who we're dealing with and what their limitations are going to be, what their greatest concerns are, what is their estimated mortality / longevity of life. Like you get a really good idea without having to do too much specific in interviewing, going through the full assessment. You get a pretty good idea. And you can score it and say, here are our concerns. And then we train, 8 to 12 weeks later, we go back and we reassess those and we go, look at the changes, look at the differences in here. This is fantastic. Outside of that, you're using tools like this to articulate and develop grip strength. Not so I score higher on that test, but so I can literally improve each digit's strength to flex, to extend, and articulate and manipulate in multiple directions. These are all things that will occur in regular daily life. Oh, the last one I want to show you too is just towel twisting. So grab a towel, if it's wet, even better, because it gives you like a goal of wringing, right? But just gripping and ripping and wrenching and just doing this type of stuff. And when you use your towel, put it through like a kettlebell, right? And you can hold onto the kettlebell and work on your grip strength. Loop this through the kettlebell and put it in your hand and try to carry the kettlebell with that guy looped through. So the kettlebell would go through there where my finger is. And now I'm holding on to the towel for my grip strength. And if I let go, the kettlebell drops out, right? Like towels are really, really great tools for assisting with grip strength. Just make sure they're like a fitness towel, so you're not ripping up, your wife or your mom's really nice towels. You want to preserve that stuff. Okay, so grip strength should and could be trained independently, but that's not really what we're using it for. And I hope you kind of get that from all of this. This is such a good tool to use. It's a good thing for us to use. And it is something that specifically with aging, the aging process, we're going to start to see deterioration, especially if you have sarcopenia, especially if you have osteopenia, and especially if you have higher levels of body fat being carried, obesities, right? And if you have all three of those, which 33% of our country does, they have sarcopenia, osteopenia, and or osteoporosis, and then obesity. So your osteosarco-obesity, you have all three. 33% of our country has all three of those over age 50. This is a great concern for us. Knowing that if we start to implement any kind of resistance training protocol, we'll start to see improvements in all of those. You start to clean up your diet, you see it even more. Get yourself good sleep, good training practices, etc. But as we start to kind of funnel down and see, man, I've really got some issues with my hands here. If I have neuropathy, if you smoked, or if you have diabetes or gout, bouts with gout, etc., you need to work on these things independently. There are feet drills. I've done videos on those, developing your big toe strength, etc. This one, specific to your hands. And these are so important because they are literally manipulating things in our life. We need to take good value and take care of these. Don't take your hands for granted just as much as we don't take our feet for granted. All right, that's probably enough for me. 32 minutes of grip strength and national conference review. I hope you enjoyed this. Any comments, questions, feel free. Hit me up in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Anybody out there you feel like could benefit from it. Hope you're all doing well. And as always, please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.